everybody. Hopefully you're still here. Oh, yes, I see Jay is here. Hi, Jay. Hi, Aries. Aries, are you still on your trip? I know when you get back from your trip, we have to do your 12-hour stream that you've been requesting. Misfit, hello. K-Braze, I know you're here. Leo, hello. Let me see if we have anyone else in chat right now. I'm not sure if there's anyone else in chat or not, but hello to anyone who's maybe listening and haven't said anything. Misfit, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Edward, hello, good to see you. You always have great comments. I always love seeing what you have to say. Aries said, had to leave early due to North Korea's nuclear threat. Wow, that's crazy. How much longer? You were supposed to be there, how much longer? Because I think you were coming back soon. That's crazy, though. But anyway, so have you guys heard about this case? It's so weird. It says there's 0 in chat, so I can't see who's here. But it's just weird. It's never showed that to me before. But I don't know what's going on with StreamYards. But who has heard of this case before, with the Grace Millane case? It takes place in Auckland. So if you've heard of the case, but can you put a 1 in chat? Hi, headphones. Edward. Edward says he's not always the most inspiring, but thanks. Jay said, don't worry, I had the same thing recently. There's more than 0. Okay, Edward has not heard about the case. Has anyone else heard about it? Aries has not heard about the case. It's a really interesting case. It's a sad case that she was so far away from home when it happened. Okay, so I will just get into it then. Let me start sharing my screen so you can see pictures of her. And I do, like I always say, have a lot of video to show. I definitely do have a lot of video this time, though. Okay, so here, this is her Facebook. It still is up. Can you see my screen? Let me see. If you could see my screen, can you put a 1? Because I'm going to be reading a lot, so I'm not going to be able to be seeing comments a lot of the time. When we're looking at videos, I can, but when I'm reading, I'm not going to be able to be looking at the screen. You can't. Okay, 1. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is her Facebook. It still is up. There's a cool video that she made where she's like drawing an elephant, and I'm going to play that for you probably at the end. But here, let me get into the information about her. And here, I always have the 2 different things up. It's so weird. Hopefully you can still see everything. Okay, and it won't let me pick each picture and go to the next one. I don't know why. I was trying to do that beforehand and it wouldn't let me do it. So I don't know why. But so this is Grace Millane. I'll start here. And she had recently graduated. She was planning on spending a couple of weeks traveling. While she was traveling, she decided to use Tinder to meet people. And that's kind of where the story begins. But before that, she was in the United Kingdom and in Brentwood, a town in Essex. And again, her name is Grace Emmy Rose Millane. I think she has a really pretty name. She was born in December 1996, December 2nd. And what is so sad about this case, her birth date and her death date are the same day. So, I mean, I think that's crazy also. Her parents are Jillian and David. She was the youngest of 3, and she had 2 older brothers. She loved music and hockey, art. She was getting a degree in marketing and advertising. So this is where she was traveling. She went to Peru, and these are the different places that she was going. These are the pictures she was putting like on her social media. I want to click them so you can see them, but then it's going to take me down to the bottom. So here's like one of a llama. Hopefully you can see it. Let me see if you can see what I'm like. Okay, yeah, you can see. So those are some of the pictures that she took while she, oh God, see, it took me out of my spot. I hate that it does that. I can't believe it. Let me get back to where I was. See, if I go to check StreamYards, it takes me out of where I was. But okay. Don't pay attention to anything on the screen right now. Okay, so these are more pictures she took. See you later, Peru. Then she ends up in Auckland on November 30th. She goes on to Tinder. She matches with Jesse. His name is withheld from the case for a long time. I guess they protect people there. There's different laws there than here, obviously. Their sentencing is definitely different as well. Here it shows them, this whole case is caught on CCTV. There's a whole hour video that shows from beginning to end. And I could play that if you want. Like, I could play it in the background. It's crazy that every movement is tracked in here. But this is them meeting. But I'll go a little bit more into it. So she attended the University of Lincoln. And anyway, so they met December 1st. And they went to different places. I'm going to end up losing my space, but so this was one bar. They ended up bar hopping. See, okay, it's working right now. Let's hope it works. Yes, it's working. Okay, so they went to a Mexican restaurant, and now it's not working. But they were going from different places, and they ended up getting more cozier and cozier as the night got on. I'll show you one picture. You can tell this is the third place they were at, that they were definitely very cozy. Oh my God, you're not even seeing the screen that I'm showing. I'm so sorry. You're not seeing what I'm showing. Okay, I just checked the StreamYards and it's showing something completely different. So you haven't even you should have been seeing something else this whole time while I've been talking. I'm so sorry about that. But anyways, so this is where we're at right now at the night. And so they obviously now, this is the third place that they're at. They're very cozy. Things are going well. She even texted her friend and said, "We're clicking so well." She says that she's with an owner of an oil company, that he lives in a hotel, because he's known for being grandiose. And I know that word from the Amber Heard trial, but a grandiose liar. So he's made up lies to people that he has cancer, that he works for the CIA, that again, he works and owns an oil company, that his friends are all detectives. I'm trying to think different things that he's said. I'll go into some of his different lies later, but that he's like a billionaire, that just different, part of the mafia, that he has gang friends, that he's a famous baseball player. So just crazy lies. And just that's one of the things that he does. But so like I said, they're getting closer and closer as the night's going on. Yes, he's definitely a dangerous manipulator. Let me see what you guys are saying in chat, by the way. It's just weird that it's showing 0. Hi, Cynthia. I know. So it's so horrible that on the day of birth and day of death is December 2nd. I can't believe that. So on her birthday, people were texting her mom, her dad, her friends, like everyone was texting and saying happy birthday. And it was very unlike her to not be responding to them. So after a day, they gave it a little bit of time and she wasn't responding to them. So then after a couple days, then they did file a missing persons report. And they did, the next day, they ended up bringing Jesse in for questioning due to the CCTV footage. And he also left a remark on her Facebook, a comment saying beautiful. But here, let me show you more of the pictures. I don't know why it wasn't showing. So the cops were able to see all this different CCTV footage. Let me look at it on my phone so I can actually see what you guys are seeing now. So it'll be better because I wasn't being able to see anything that you guys are seeing. So it was making it a lot more difficult. Okay. Okay, so this is them walking into the hotel that he lives at because he rents a place at the hotel. Them walking in, and I think that you can see it, I hope. I think my computer's thinking, I'm not sure. But anyway, so this is them in the elevator. Hopefully you can see this. This is them on the 3rd floor going into his room 308. And them walking out is the last that Grace has ever seen. He has seen many, many more times throughout the next couple days doing a lot of sketchy stuff. And I don't think it's being shown. I don't know if I'm still having tech issues. I don't know if you guys are seeing. I'm looking on my phone and it looks like it's circling, circling, circling. Are you able to see the image of them in the elevator? Okay, you see it, Jay? All right, so yeah, this is the last image of them together. And let me get into then some more. After this, the cops do release a statement. So let me get into the statement that the cops release. And you guys won't believe the defense that he uses of what happened. So I'd never heard of this defense. I did look it up and it has been used before. But here, let me show you. I'm just having to scroll up to the different videos because I have about 5 different ones that I want to show. So I have to scroll to the right one. Okay. Let me know if you can see it and if you can hear it.
We begin tonight in central Auckland, where police say they now hold grave fears for the safety of missing British backpacker Grace Millane. A short time ago, Detective Inspector Scott Baird revealed the 22-year-old had travelled from the Sky City Hotel to the City Life Hotel on Queen Street, where she was identified on CCTV footage at 9:41 last Saturday night. She has not been seen since. Her father, David Millane, arrived from the UK this morning and in the last hour has made a public appeal for information of any more recent sightings of his daughter.
As you know, Grace has been missing for several days. We last had contact with her on Saturday the 1st of December. And as a family, we've been extremely concerned for her welfare. Grace is a lovely, outgoing, fun-loving, family-orientated daughter. Grace has never been out of contact for this amount of time. She's usually in daily contact with either her mother, myself, her 2 brothers, members of the family on social media. I don't know if you know, but Grace is on a year-long worldwide overseas experience. Grace started this travel journey in Peru in South America, and at the end of this was really looking forward to the second leg in New Zealand. She arrived here on the 20th of November and has been bombarding us with numerous photographs and messages of her adventures. We're all extremely upset, and it's very difficult at this time to fully describe the range of emotions we are going through. While we are very grateful for the media coverage both here and back home, we are finding this situation quite upsetting. and would sincerely hope that the media continue to respect our privacy. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to appeal to anybody who has seen, spoken to, or come into contact with Grace over the last few days, and to come forward with any detail, no matter how small, and contact the investigation team. Once again, I thank you all for coming.
That is Grace Millane's father, David, speaking a short time ago. Meanwhile, Detective Inspector Scott Beard says more than 25 staff are now assigned to the investigation and are working their way through CCTV footage. He said they had spoken to a male friend who was with Grace at the City Life Hotel.
Our investigation into the disappearance of English tourist Grace Millane is progressing rapidly. Since she was first reported missing on Wednesday, we've made multiple inquiries as we continue to search for Grace. As part of our investigation, we have reviewed hours and hours of CCTV footage, and this will continue throughout the weekend. We now have the last known sighting of Grace at 9:41 p.m. on Saturday, 1st December, at the City Life Hotel with a male companion. Police have identified this man, and he has been spoken to. Through our investigations, we have also identified a location of interest, an apartment in the City Life Hotel in Queen Street. We are conducting a scene examination at this address. I understand there'll be lots of questions about what we are doing and why we're doing it and exactly why we're there. However, this is an ongoing investigation, and I'm not at liberty to discuss the details that some I don't have at the moment. As you've just heard from Grace's dad, David, she's a much-loved daughter, sister and friend.
So I don't really need to play that much more of that, because after that, they looked into what his movements were, and they saw that he ended up, I can, if you want, I can play that footage, but he ended up getting a carpet cleaner. He ended up getting 2 suitcases. He ended up, they were seeing in the CCTV footage that he was throwing stuff out at different trash cans throughout the city. He got a rental car. And so these are just some of the things that they saw in the CCTV footage. So they brought him in for questioning, and there's 3 interrogation videos. So let me play those for you. Jay said, saw him with her on CCTV and knew who he was immediately. Yes. And so with the CCTV, they saw that she went to the hotel and she never left the hotel. So that's why they were deeply, it said gravely concerned. So, yeah, Princess. And again, this made me think of Elisa Lam, because it was with her too. The last footage we saw of her was in the elevator. So yeah, Tinder seems sketchy. Grateful Ed says. Bleach. Oh, Misfit reminded me. Yes, he got bleach as well. And this is something that, thank you for reminding me, because this doesn't make sense kind of to me because of what he says happens about why there was so much blood. So he bought bleach. Yes. So carpet cleaner, bleach, a vacuum thing. And then, so to clean up the disposal with a suitcase, and a rental car, because he didn't want to do that in his own car. But yes, so there's one thing with the blood that doesn't really make sense to me, and I haven't seen anyone bring it up in a video, and I want to see what you guys kind of think about that. And Kay Bray says, oh my God, why do these criminals go through all this work to clean up stuff and dispose of stuff when they know they're going to get caught? You can't get away with these days, and with eye in the sky. I think I don't know what you meant, and I kind of think I got it. Cynthia said, have the trash bags been recovered? I do think they did recover, because yes, they did see exactly what trash can he went to, so they did get all of her belongings. Nora's grandma said, oh yes, creepy Edward. Not calling Edward creepy though. Misfit says, you have been missed as well. So let me get to the interrogations. Like I said, there's 3 different ones. And I'm upset that you guys couldn't see all the pictures that I was showing in the beginning. I don't know why I'm having all these issues. And also there's a lot of text. Oh, and I want to show this also. So, and it's also sad music too, which it makes it kind of harder to watch, but it's so small though. Like it's hard for some reason it's not letting me make it any bigger. But so this can you see the screen? It says unseen CCTV footage of Grace Millane shorts. Hopefully you could see it, so let me know if you can hear it too. I don't know why it won't get bigger. Okay, so let me get the interrogation. I know, Jay, isn't that, especially with the music and everything? There's literally an hour of CCTV to watch. I might just I might play it in the background, I'm not sure, because it literally shows every movement, and it's, like, scary to think. I mean, I think you're being filmed more. It seems like Vegas. I don't know if you've ever been to Vegas and, like, on the Strip, you're being filmed a lot, but that's kind of what it seems like, because every movement, like, is recorded there. And again, this is in New Zealand. But okay, let me get to his interrogation. But again, there's 3 different things, or 3 different videos. Okay, in the first one, they do not arrest him. They meet with him they meet with him multiple times. So this time they're just questioning him. And Grace's family is in New Zealand at this point. Her dad went there right away. And let me know if you can see the screen, and please put a 1 if you can hear it and see it.
Tell us about Grace.
So I was talking to Grace on Tinder.
Yeah.
We'd matched on Friday. I saw that we'd matched the next day on Saturday. And then we met at Sky City. And then we decided that we're going up to Andy's Burger Bar, which is on the first floor.
Whose idea was it to go to that particular burger place?
Me, because I didn't initially know that she was real.
What do you mean?
Well, there's a lot of. So, have you heard of catfish?
No.
So, catfishing is where someone uses your profile, or uses your photos, and pretends to be you, and then meets, and you're a completely different person.
Right.
And it's on Tinder. It's all about the way you look. And so, if they use more endearing photos, you're more likely to swipe for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does meeting in a public place sort of protect you from meeting someone who's not as good looking as?
Well, there's security there. So if she wasn't who she said she was.
Sorry, I just had to pause it. So he literally just killed her, and he said he's afraid of being catfished. I just had to say that, but I'm pressing play. And I haven't been muting myself tonight just because I always don't unmute myself, so hopefully that's not a problem. But I probably should mute myself. Hopefully there's not a lot of background noise.
Yeah.
At least in my mind, I'd feel safe.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's us.
Down there?
Yeah.
Is that before or after?
That is after.
Okay. And where are you guys going now?
So she's going that way, and I'm going across the street.
Where do you walk?
I go down Queen Street. No, I go down Victoria Street, straight down to the bottom, and then hang a left, and I head towards the viaduct.
You go to the viaduct a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You've kind of walked in a bit of a funny direction if you were planning to go to the viaduct.
What's the direction I normally go?
Yeah. It's I mean, I'm just sort of saying, like, if you were planning to go to the viaduct.
I normally go down Queen Street and then cross at the bottom of Queen Street, go through the containers, and then walk along the wharf.
Yeah. Is there a particular reason you were going to do that?
I feel safer down that way.
So the reason his face was blurred because he was not convicted or anything at that time. The laws that they have to protect people in New Zealand is they'll blur their face to protect them if they're not convicted of anything at the time. There is video, I believe, there is video now that like does show his face in parts and doesn't in other parts. But since he wasn't convicted of anything at that time, his face was blurred.
I don't know. It's a lot safer for me to be walking down that way than walking down the back streets.
Okay.
It was just one of the interrogation videos, so let me get to the other two. How is everybody doing in chat? By the way, hi Wolfie. Hope you're having a good night. So this is just literally him freaking out, this clip, and asking like if he's getting arrested or something. Let me play it real quick.
Hey, I just want to ask a question. Am I being arrested for something I didn't do?
You haven't been arrested.
Oh. Oh. Holy shit.
Okay, and then there's just one other part, and that's the last interrogation that they have with him. So I just wanted to show the 3 back to back. sorry that my computer is being super slow. Can you put a 1 if you can see it and a 1 if you can hear it? Please.
I'm telling you, that bag is still in my room.
What's in it?
Nothing. Nothing's in it.
What was in it then?
Nothing.
Where did it come from?
The warehouse.
Which warehouse?
Atrium.
When did you buy it?
That day, because I was going to have to move all my stuff out. I told you.
Okay. No, that's not the case, right? You've told a lie.
What do you mean?
It's a big mistruth.
I went to the warehouse at the Atrium. And brought a suitcase. I went back and I was just in shock because it just didn't seem right. I left to go and get cleaning products. So I messaged a friend and said, I'll meet you at Revelry.
Oh. Okay, so I had to pause it right there. He said he messaged a friend. So he actually went on a Tinder date the next day with a girl right here while Grace's body was in his hotel room. So if things went well, was he planning on bringing this female to his hotel room? And what was he going to, and he had 2 suitcases, by the way. He bought 2, not 1. So, what was he planning on doing here? And she said there is an interview with her. She said she got a super, super weird vibe from him, that he said that his detective friends were looking for a body, but cops can't find, or cadaver dogs, and cops can't find a body if it's more than 4 feet below. And he was saying just all these different weird lies that he had said to different people he had dated. In 2016, he had a girlfriend and he told her that he worked for the CIA and that one day he was going to have to kill her due to a CIA order. He had different allegations in his past as well. And those women did go on the stand also. There's so many different crazy things in this case that they did bring up in the trial. So in the trial, I'll get to that. Let me finish playing the video, but I wanted to bring up what the defense said and what the prosecution said, because they did kind of say that it could have, that it was consensual, but I didn't really get into how she died yet. So let me just press play first. I'm probably confusing everyone. I'm sorry.
After finishing drinks with her, I got back to city life. And the whole time I just kept saying, I'm sorry. And then I went downstairs and I grabbed the porter thing and I put the suitcase on top of the porter thing. I drove the hire car into Wilson's car park and parked it. I woke up the next day at about 5 a.m. and drove the car out to Cumu at first. I had picked up a shovel from ITM at Cumu. I ended up driving towards the Waitakaries. I went into the bush. I dug a hole. I went and got the suitcase and I covered the hole. And then I drove.
Where is her possessions?
I threw them in the rubbish.
Whereabouts?
Albert Park rubbish.
Right. So what items of her property have been disposed of in Albert Park?
Everything.
All of her clothing.
Everything that was in the room.
Right. Whereabouts did you clean the car? The outside of the car?
I think it was in Henderson. I don't know West very well.
Okay. And what did you use to clean the car?
Water blaster thing from the car cleaning place.
Did she have any injuries?
Not that I can remember. I was just panicking.
Did you inflict any injuries on her that caused her to die?
No.
Did you kill Grace Millane? Okay. And you're under arrest for the murder of Grace Millane on or about the 2nd of December. You understand?
Yep.
Did you intend to cause her death?
No.
Are you ready to take us to where she is?
Yeah.
Okay, so he did bring them to her body after that, but while she lay, after she died in his hotel room, he took 7. Okay, what he said had happened, that they were having consensual sex, and that he said it was the rough. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of the rough. Maybe I should read an article. It would probably be better if I read an article. But the defense basically said that it was 2 consenting adults and it got out of hand and she died as a result from it. But if it was an accident, he took 7 pictures of her after she died. He positioned her body in different ways where he took pictures of her, like modeling in a certain way, and she had already died. He looked at pornographic websites after she died, 3 different ones. He looked up hottest fire. He looked up like how to burn a body. He looked up flesh-eating birds. He looked up Waitakere like range or forest, and that's where she ended up being buried. And he also looked up, I'm trying to remember all the different things. About how cops can't about how far down a cop can trace, or dogs can trace a body. And I'm trying to think. I know there was another crazy. I know I said hottest fire. He looked up all these crazy things while she was dead, and then, like I said, the next day he went on the date. So the defense was arguing that, like I said, that this was an accident, and they said it was the 50 Shades defense, and that's like the rough sex defense. That's what it's supposed to be. And I felt so bad that her parents had to hear this, because they were kind of like not slandering her name, but she couldn't go out she couldn't die in a way that I felt bad them having to hear all these sexual details about their daughter, because previous boyfriends went on the stand and guys that she had slept with and said that she did like certain things, that she died from strangulation. That was her cause of death. So guys had gone on the stand and said that she did. They do that to her in the past. So that's what the defense was arguing, that this was someone that did do that. And that that she wasn't super experienced in that and it got out of hand. But the prosecution was arguing that you don't ask to die. So I can play a little bit of the defense and the prosecution so that it's not just me explaining it, because obviously I'm not going to explain it as well as the defense and the attorney. But I also want to play the apology from the Prime Minister, because that, I believe, is actually very heartfelt, the apology. So let me play that real quick. And she just apologized for what happened to Grace while she was in New Zealand. And hopefully everyone is doing good in chat. And you guys are probably like, what is Valerie talking about? Oh my God, I did not think this case was going there. Let me know. I'm presenting it now. Let me know if you can see my screen and if you could hear it. I'm going to play it now. So if you can hear it and
Look,
see it,
today
press
I would
1.
like to start with a comment on the murder of Grace Millane, having received a number of media queries about this tragedy. Firstly, I cannot imagine the grief of her family and what they will be experiencing and feeling right now. And my thoughts and prayers are with her father, David, who is in the country, her mother, Gillian, who cannot be here, and her wider family, friends, and loved ones. You know, from the Kiwis I have spoken to, there is this overwhelming sense of hurt and shame that this has happened in our country, a place that prides itself on our hospitality, on our manaakitanga, especially to those who are visiting our shores. And so, on behalf of New Zealand, I want to apologise to Grace's family. Your daughter should have been safe here, and she wasn't, and I'm sorry for that. I've advised the family through the police that if there is anything we can do to assist, we are here to help with that.
I thought that seemed like a heartfelt apology. I mean, it seemed like she was about to break down in a moment while she was saying that your daughter should have been safe here. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, if you thought that seemed heartfelt, but it did seem like it to me. So I looked at the 50 Shades defense. People have used it in the past, and it has worked for people. So Grace's family did try banning it after this so that people couldn't use it anymore. And there is, I looked, the last, it was in 2020. They're still trying to work on that like new bill, but I don't see that it's gone through yet. So I don't know, but they are working on it. That's what I see. But they're trying to make it so that you can't use that as a defense anymore, because people have used that a lot as a defense. But and I want to let you know what also his sentence was, but I still have a lot of stuff to play for you. Let me see what everyone's saying. Yeah, she is a good leader. I agree, Edward. And thank you, Cynthia. Yeah, it's very kind of her to do that. You can tell it affected all of New Zealand. It seemed like that everybody was very like touched by this case, and they really they went into action right away. That she was missing one way, and one day the father called in, and the next day they had somebody in custody. They already had somebody in questioning the next day. That's how quick it happened. So they really. I've heard of in other like places where it took a long time, but they did not drop the ball. They really went into action super quickly. So I can play a little bit of the defense maybe so that you guys in the prosecution, so you can hear kind of how they presented it versus me just saying it. I think that would be better. And then I can kind of sit and chat with you guys for a little bit. So let me get that for you. Just one moment. And I'm so sorry that my computer is being so slow tonight. This is why I kept having to make it earlier. I don't know why it's like lagging so much, but let me know if you can see it on my screen, and I'm going to press play. Let me know if you can hear it, please. All right, hitting play.
Murdering British backpacker Grace Millane, a calm and calculated killer, or a young man who panicked after a sex act went wrong. That's what the jury in the trial of the 27-year-old accused have today been asked to decide after hearing the closing addresses from lawyers for both the Crown and the defence. It's the Crown's case the man intentionally strangled the British backpacker in his apartment last December. He denies this, and his defence team says she died during consensual rough sex. Our reporter Sarah Robson has been covering the case and filed this report. And just a reminder, it does contain details that some people may find distressing.
Crown Prosecutor Brian Dickey explained to the jury there are two pathways to murder: murderous intent or reckless disregard for someone's life.
In this case, we've killed Grace Millane, the defendant. Gentleman over here at the back behind me had to have had her under his grip, suffocating her, if that's the right term. Strangling her is probably the correct term, for a total of what would be approximately 5 to 10 minutes.
Mr. Dickey said at some point Ms. Millane would have lost consciousness.
And would have become under his hand hold, unconscious and limp and lifeless, and he had to carry on. And if that's not reckless murder in this country, ladies and gentlemen, somebody will have to explain to me what is.
Mr. Dickey said it couldn't possibly be a case of rough sex gone wrong.
This is not sex play. This is not restricted breath games.
Mr. Dickey took aim at the defence's argument there was no motive for the accused to murder the British backpacker. He held up 7 explicit photos the Crown says the accused took of Ms. Millane after she died.
He took that photograph there when she was dead.
Sitting in the front row of the public gallery, Ms. Millane's parents, David and Gillian, became increasingly upset as Mr. Dickey continued.
He has eroticised the death of British backpacker Grace Millane, which occurred under his handhold and on her birthday.
Mr. Dickey said those photos were the accused's ultimate triumph over Ms. Millane, his trophy photos. He also questioned the accused's failure to call 111.
If you thought you'd hurt somebody really badly and by accident, your response in that circumstance, in close quarters, you're in the same room, you've got a phone, you've got phones available to you. You know this is a young woman a long way from home. Your response must be to dial the emergency services.
Instead, Mr. Dickey said the accused used his phone to search Waitakere Ranges and Hottest Fire.
So he's got a work plan to deal with the situation. Cool, calm, and in control. Where's the evidence of panic?
And Mr. Dickey said there was a reason the accused repeatedly lied to the police in his first interview about what happened on the night Ms. Millane died.
Because he's trying to get away with it altogether. And why is that? That's because he knows what he's done, and what he's done is killed the British tourist, and that's murder in his own mind.
Mr. Dickey urged the jury not to place too much weight on the defence's evidence about Ms. Millane's interest in BDSM.
This case isn't about whether Grace Millane consented to having sex with the defendant and that being rough sex. That's not what this case is about. This case is about her being strangled to death. You can't consent to your own murder.
In his closing address, the accused man's lawyer, Ian Brookie, reaffirmed it was the defence's case that no murder took place. He said Ms. Millane's death was an accident after rough sex between two drunk and inexperienced people went wrong.
Yes, when confronted with the crisis of this unexpected, unforeseen and unintended death, the defendant freaked out.
So this trial was crazy. They had like a sex expert on BDSM come up there. Like, I feel so bad that her parents had to go through this and hear, like I said, all of her sexual history and different things like that. But also in regards to Jesse, his ex-girlfriends went up there, Tinder dates went up there. One Tinder date said about how he kind of did the same. Obviously, he didn't kill her, but he like she didn't agree to something she said, and it went too far. In 2017, his girlfriend had filed a restraining order against him because he apparently had choked her then. And while she was dating him, she said multiple times he would put a knife to her neck and make her do different acts. So he had a lot of different things in his past. He also was known to, like I said, with his lying, he was also kicked out of apartments constantly and didn't have money. Like I said, with one of the apartments, he told them that he was in a softball, like he was in a famous baseball league or a famous pitcher, or and also he was 2 months behind on rent, and they literally called the baseball league and they're like, we've never heard of him. And he got kicked out there and then moved in with 3 different women. And there is an interview with those 3 women that I can play. And the one woman said that she had to sleep with a knife under her pillow every night because she was so worried, like she was so concerned about him. And she said all the different crazy lies that he would come up with as well. And just, I can't, like someone that just makes up they have cancer. I can't believe someone that would say that. Like the CIA, all of his lies are just so crazy to me. But let me finish playing this. Yes, they called the baseball league. Can you believe that? Because he was 2 months behind on his rent. So they called and they're like, is this person really are they in your league? And they're like, no, we have never heard of them. So he got evicted. He was back on the street, no place to live. And then he moved in with 3 females. And those 3 females are the ones that said like that he was super creepy. I don't know why they let him move in. Maybe they didn't realize it at first, but they said that he was super creepy. And that one, like I said, had a knife underneath her pillow every night. So, and there's so many different interviews. I could play that one too, but let me finish playing this. There's just so much on this. And I can put in the chat the CCTV footage. That's an hour of it if you guys want to watch the whole thing as well. Misfit, you're making me laugh.
He reacted badly. He acted selfishly.
But Mr. Brookie said the accused's actions didn't reflect what was going through his mind when he put his hands on Ms. Millane's neck.
You might think, from having looked at all of the evidence here, that in fact his actions are consistent with someone who did not cope when they were confronted with this crisis and took steps to try and avoid having to explain what looks so bad. The stakes were high here. This is not just knocking over a milk jug. This is somebody, as he said, dead on his floor.
Mr. Brookie said the accused didn't have to speak to the police, but did
Yeah, but the one time I muted myself, I didn't unmute myself. So I was talking to you guys on mute again. I'm so sorry about that. Let me know if you can see it, and then I'm going to hit unmute in a second. I mean, I'm going to press play in a second. Let me know if you can hear it. Please.
To Jessie Kemps's former housemate Millie Mason and Auckland City Detective Inspector Scott Beard. Welcome. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Scott, let's start off with you, first of all, if you don't mind. So when you first heard about Grace's disappearance, what were you thinking then? Because you said it's not uncommon for backpackers to sort of go missing maybe for a few days. Maybe they've lost signal on their phone. Maybe they're on one of the islands. What were you thinking?
Morning, Holly. Look, it was only the fact that it came to the Criminal Investigation Branch right at the start. There were these red flags, and you immediately think, you hope for all hope that you're going to find her, but the red flags would indicate that it could be a lot more serious. So you take it seriously from the start. So I had to ensure that the staff that afternoon, it was Wednesday, the 5th of December, were focused on working out who Grace was. We have to know who our victim is. And of course, the UK time is the middle of the night, middle of our day there. So, and also where was she staying, who was she friends with, her social media, Facebook. And so a lot of inquiries were done on that Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night. And then on the Thursday morning, 6th, we brought a team together to start the investigation. Because in the city, CCTV is everywhere. And it's a huge phase we have to have. And what happened on the Wednesday afternoon is on Grace's Facebook page, the last person to comment was a person by the name of Jessie Shane. Now, we didn't know who that person was at the time.
Fast forward it, but that went into about how he was the person that made the comment, and they saw it, the comment that said beautiful. And so the cops did see that in between the CCTV footage that they found him. But here, let me get to where the people that lived with him start talking.
Out that he'd strangled Grace to death on the night of the 1st of December. Next day, he bought a suitcase. There was CCTV footage of that. Put Grace's body in it, hired a car, drove 12 miles west of Auckland to the Waitakere's, buried the suitcase, and then went back to the room, bought an array of cleaning supplies to clean the crime scene. He always said that it was this rough sex. At no point did he ever admit to murder.
No, not even during the trial. He never admitted to the murder. And that rough sex, putting the blame back on the victim, and she can't answer. Grace is dead. He chose not to give evidence, and that's his right. But yeah, it was pretty tough because she can't answer, and of course we knew he's a liar. He just anything he's telling us, even his second interview on the Saturday afternoon, there's a number of lies in there.
Thank you. Well, let's speak to Millie now, because Millie, you lived with this man that we are talking about here, this murderer. The reason why you met him in the first place was because you were living with a group of girls and you were looking for a fourth flatmate.
Yeah.
So you'd advertised this position. One of your flatmates had spoken to him on the phone, and he had quite the story about who he was.
Yeah. Oh, it was elaborate. He was coming over to New Zealand. He lived in Australia to buy bars to add to the franchise his father owned. Mm-hmm. That was his story.
And so this all sort of started to unravel, because obviously he painted himself as quite this wealthy guy, and then you were thinking, well, why does he need to do a flat share if he's got all this money? And also, he couldn't keep up with rent payments.
No, owed us money. There was also always an excuse. He was waiting on money from his accountant in Australia. It just didn't stop making sense.
But initially, everybody liked him. And so what were then the red flags? Because it went dark quite quickly. Although he never touched anybody or hurt anybody within the flat, but there were red flags.
Yeah. So I think eventually, you stop believing the stories. There are so many stories that you start to say, really? It just stops making sense. And, he just...
One of your flatmates, it was more of a gut instinct where the red flags came out. Yeah. And one of your flatmates was sleeping in the flat on her own, and she went to bed with a knife for her own protection.
Yes, yeah.
Because she was fearful of him?
Well, yeah, he came home drunk and broke some furniture, and she was scared. He was just one of those people that, when they drink, the facade just goes a little bit. Yeah. You don't, and you immediately think, what are you hiding?
Yeah, something's not right here.
Yeah.
So when you found out that this murder had taken place of this girl, and that it was him, this man that was used to live with, what did you think?
Shock, first of all, but then also maybe not so shocked.
Yeah.
You're shocked it happened, but there is that little voice in your head that's saying,
I just wanted to pause it because K-Bray says she didn't realize how lucky she was. So he had gone on so many Tinder dates that even like the doorman that lived there said like, whoa, buddy, like you should kind of slow it down, I think. Like he was bringing girls night after night to his place. It makes me think of Family Guy when I think he downloads, I don't know if it's Tinder or he downloads some dating app, Quagmire, but it makes me think of that. But they were saying like he was literally bringing so many girls home night after night. Oh my God, Misfit, thank you so much. That means so much to me. Thank you. But so he was literally bringing girls night after night. So there were so many girls that literally that could have been killed, but many of them did have experiences where they did testify in court, and said that he did push himself on them, and one of them did get explicit details. That's why I'm not sure if I can play it or not, but he did after this. He got 2 other felonies for things that he had done as well, when this trial happened. And they said like they were too afraid to come out, but when they saw his picture in this case after he was convicted, then they decided that they wanted to pursue the charges against him. But yes, so many lucky breaks. So many people, so many girls that were with him they were lucky. But let me finish pressing play on this.
Oh, your instinct wasn't wrong. There was something wrong here. And, that we did listen to it is, I think.
And that's one of the reasons you wanted to do this documentary and be a part of it, is to say, I mean, he used that rough sex in his defense. And you have very strong views on that.
I think it's disgusting. I think, she can't speak up for herself and he can say whatever he wants. I don't think it matters what she was or wasn't into. Like, how dare he, take her life? It's just, and then to blame it on that, she didn't ask for that. She didn't consent to that.
Absolutely.
And Scott, one of the most traumatic things I would have thought for you, I mean, what a job you guys do, but to sit next to her parents in court and have them have to go through that.
Yeah, that's really sad. To feel Gillian at times sobbing, crying beside you, hearing what the defence is proposing, what evidence they're calling, the questions they're asking the witnesses. It is sad. And as I say, it re-victimises that family. And Grace can't say anything. Like Melissa said, Grace can't give her account of what actually happened.
Thank you. Thank you. And continue all the good work that you do over there. Thanks for joining us today. And thank you as well. Lovely to meet you.
So I can't imagine having lived with him, or especially going on a date with him. I mean, that would just be I'd be freaked out knowing that I went on a date with him, especially if I was the woman that went on a Tinder date with him the next day, knowing that he had invited me back to his hotel, that Grace Millane's body was in there at that time. So I really want to know what his plan was, because like I said, he invited her back to his hotel after they had drinks, but he was saying like, can I walk you to your car? She had such a weird feeling that she said like, oh, my car is around the corner. Like, she didn't even want him to walk her to her car, that she had such a weird feeling about him. And I wish Grace had that feeling too. I know I'm not victim blaming at all, but like Grace said that her and him clicked so well. She wrote, like I said, that text message to her friend and said, I'll tell you the details in the morning. That her friend obviously never got that text message. But I mean, what is everybody thinking? Yes, thank God for her sixth sense. I mean, what is everybody thinking in chat so far about this case? Let me grab some more pictures. And I have a cool video that Grace made as well that I wanted to show. And I'm sad that all the pictures weren't showing before. I might open up, I'm going to not have this one be too long. I'm going to try and make mine shorter from now on. But I might open up the panel to see like what you guys think of this defense. And I mean, again, I feel that it was bad. Like, I felt bad for her family to have to hear those details. I'm sure that you guys wouldn't want your families hearing that. I wouldn't want my family hearing that. So I do I mean, I feel bad about that. And her mother said that that even made it that much worse for her. Let me also get this. I wanted to read this to you as well. One moment. Okay, so let me know if you can see my screen. I know I feel like I'm doing a Zoom meeting or something. Okay, what happened in the last hours of the British backpacker's life? Okay, so I'll play this real quick. Let me know if you can see this. There's no sound, by the way, or let me see. Yeah, there's no sound. So this is, again, her last movements. It says, identity of Grace Millane's killer revealed. New Zealand Supreme Court reveals the name of the man convicted of murdering British backpacker Grace Millane after he lost an appeal against his sentence. The video shows CCTV footage of Miss Millane with killer Jesse Kempson. Here's them at the Mexican restaurant. Here's them going bar hopping. Here's them going to another, I believe, another place and another bar. This is where they end up getting really cozy. This is what I was trying to show earlier and it wasn't working, so I'm happy it's showing now. Here's them going back to his hotel, the City Life. So it's crazy that it's just that everything is shown on CCTV. Here's them in the hotel. Oh, okay. Now we're back to now. This is now after his passed. So now he's getting his suitcases. He ends up getting another suitcase as well. I'm not sure if that one's on this video. He's getting his cleaning supplies, his bleach misfit. Here he's in the Uber for a rental car. I don't know why it keeps doing this. Okay, all right. So there's that. So that, and like I said, I could put in the hour one as well. Not the bleach misfit. I know, right? Isn't it chilling, Jay? It really is. So I'm trying to think if we want to put in. I'm gonna do it just for old time's sake to put in the Dr. Sleep guy, just because I'm used to him. I may do it. He explains the case a little more, and like I said, the rough sex defense, because he explains it better than I could. So let me put that in here. But I can't believe, though, that he took those pictures of her after she died. So, I mean, I don't think that it was premeditation, or anything like that. I do, but I don't. In chat, do you think that it was an accident that went wrong, like the defense is trying to say, or do you think that he did try to kill her? And let me see what you guys are saying. Sparkly Unicorn says she thinks that they think it's an accident. Misfit says no accident. Yeah, I mean, I go back and forth, but then I don't understand the blood. So he did a very stellar job of cleaning his hotel apartment room, whatever. He made with the carpet cleaner, he made everything look perfect, like with the bleach and all of that. But I don't understand why there was so much blood in the hotel room when she died from strangulation. And like I said, no other video has gone into this. So is the blood from someone else? Because they didn't say the blood matched the DNA of Grace Millane. They just said that there was blood in the room that they found from doing luminal testing. And there's pictures, I don't know if I showed them yet, of with the luminal testing where you can see where the blood was, and it is a large amount. So I don't understand if she was strangled, why there would be all of that blood. It's very weird to me. Misfit says, I think he wanted to because he was fine after. Yes, he was fine after. It's so weird. His actions don't seem like someone who was remorseful, who's taking those pictures of her, 7 pictures of her, and putting her in weird positions, then going on 3 different porn sites. I don't know if I could even say that word. And just the things that he was doing don't add up. Hi, Bushi. And I think I said hi to Grateful Ed. And Avery, hi, have you heard of this case, Avery? And I'm so sorry. I saw your picture about your car today. RIP to your car. I'm so sorry. Yes, Jay, I can't imagine the parents, how they felt when they heard that. But yeah, Avery, have you heard of this case? But okay, can you still see my screen? No, you can't see my screen. Okay, so is it possible? Let me see if can you see my screen now? I think you can, hopefully. It is impossible to imagine how terrified Grace Millane must have been in her last moments alive. A pathologist who examines how she died told a jury she was strangled and had bruises on her arms and chest consistent with being pinned down. Dr. Simon Stables said considerable force would have been required, and the pressure on her neck must have been between 4 to 5 minutes, enough to kill her. And the prosecution, they actually said 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm not sure, but so a minimum of 4, definitely. And I don't know if you can see my screen or not. On my phone, it's just it's circling, so I don't know what's going on. They said she had no chance. Her killer, Jesse Kempson, was heavily built and had a history of engaging in violent sex. And again, I hope that you can see my screen. I don't know what's going on. Let me look on my StreamYard, but I'll probably lose my spot. Okay, so here's a picture of Grace Millane. It says she was going on a gap year at the time of her death to celebrate her 22nd birthday. Again, her date of birth and her date of death is sadly December 2nd. She had no idea 8 months before Kempson had brutally essayed another British tourist. Grace, far from home, about to celebrate her 22nd birthday, had willingly gone to his hotel room. Until she entered the lift to his apartment, she appeared to have been enjoying her night. So we did see her at the different bars. They were getting along well. She texted her friend that they clicked and everything like that. Hours early, again, here it says how she texted her friend, how she clicked so well. And that was the last communication she would have with her friends. And here it is where she left her hostel. She left actually at 8:37. Leaving the base in Auckland, she strode out into the city in a black dress. It was Saturday night, time for fun. At the end of September 2018, just 2 months before she died, she wrote on Twitter, less than a month and counting, as she ticked off the days before her big trip. So this is before he actually was drinking before he met her. He had like I think it was 4 beers before their date. So he was already drinking, and they went like to multiple bars. So they were both heavily intoxicated while they were on their date. And this is the picture. She took a picture of this Christmas tree. That was the last picture that she sent to her family. It said Kempson had a few busy weeks on and months on Tinder. He shared a number of conversations with women in the app in which he told he liked. Okay, I'll just highlight it so you guys can read it. He boasted to another Tinder date that he was the cousin of an all-black star before they engaged in an act during which she had to fight for her life. So again, someone that was extremely lucky. Days before he met Grace, he was with a waitress. He hooked up with a waitress, which led to a night which she described. Again, like the defense that what they're using, during which he put his hand around her throat after she asked him. She said, okay, so she asked him to, it says here, this is a different girl that he went on a date with. As he prepared to join Grace on their night out, Kempson dropped into his local bar, the Bluestone Room, right next to City Life's hotel where he was living. Again, everything is on CCTV, but it looks like a casino in a hotel. Like, it looks like a casino in Vegas. That's what it really looks like to me. So again, so he had 4 bottles of beer before they arranged their meeting. Grace was at the Sky Tower early. So here again is their first, where they go to Andy's Burger and Bar, their first meeting. So this again, it just shows how they're getting more and more comfortable. Oh, okay. So this, it says this goes more into the death. Okay. Exactly what happened in the room after the couple arrived isn't known, apart from the fact that Kempson murdered Grace. What is known is that he didn't call anyone, ask for help when she died. There was no call to the emergency services. Instead, at 1:30 a.m. on Sunday, as Grace lay dead in his room, Kempson carried out a number of internet searches, which indicate not just how unconcerned he was about her death, but how he was actively plotting to conceal it. Using his mobile phone, he looked up Hottest Fire, Waitakere Ranges, and that's the location again where he buried her in a shallow grave. And I'm assuming it was more than 4 feet because he had made that comment. Then the killer again went on 3 different sites. And again, he took the 7 images of her. The following morning, while Grace was in 308, that's when he went on his date with the other woman. Here it just goes into him renting a hotel room. Here's again the last known footage of Grace. And he also said while he was on that date, that Tinder date, he said, it's crazy how guys can make one wrong move and go to jail for the rest of their life. So he said he had a friend that was going to jail for what he just did. He said he knew someone that was in that same position or predicament, whatever you want to say. He then went on to say, sorry, let me go to the next part. The prosecution in his trial said they believed he was testing out the story. He planned to peddle on her to see how it played out. Okay, so here now we're into, this is how much blood apparently there was. And this is how they found it with the luminol. So I don't understand why there was so much blood with strangulation. I just don't get it. Now, let me know if you guys in the chat can figure that out. Because there was no like sharp objects or anything like that used. He didn't beat her up or anything like that. Again, they just said strangulation. And I did hear the person that performed the autopsy also. So I don't know. Let me know in chat what you think. I'm so curious about why that there was so much blood. And whoever, if there's new people in chat, hello. I see Sunset Gazing. Hello. And I think I said hi to Nora's grandma. Hello, Nora's grandma. Let me look at the comments. Oh, Avery, seeing the vehicle traumatized me. I didn't realize how bad it is. I'm thankful, God, that you are very lucky to be alive. I know you don't know, like you have to tell me more details about what happened, but I know it's so scary. I've been in a few scary car accidents, and I'm so thankful that you're okay. I'm so sorry that happened to you. But yeah, you can replace a vehicle, but you can't replace a life. So thank God you're okay. Grateful Ed says alcohol brought out his craziness. Yes, that was what some of his roommates said, that when he drank alcohol, he just became like this other person. And he drank so much alcohol that night because he had the 4 beers before he met Grace. And then they went to bar to bar to bar, and they were drinking like pints of margaritas and just like so many different like shots. And you can even see that on the video. So they were like plastered, both of them. Let me see what else other people are saying. Yes, always sleuthing and finding different cases. I'm trying. So I'm in the, now we're doing Auckland. We're trying to go different areas. Oh, and we did Hong Kong before. So trying to go around the world. Let me know if you find any interesting cases in different parts of the world that you want me to cover. Edward said instant ash hole. Just add alcohol. Yes. Misfit, thank you. Okay, but I don't understand, like I said, the blood. It makes no sense to me. It's just so crazy about why there would be that much blood. So let me finish reading this. And here it shows him in the elevator, here getting a suitcase. But again, he got 2. So I'm not sure if it shows that on here. And he says that in there. I don't know if it showed where he's talking to the cop and he says like how the suitcase is empty. Like, you can come to my room, and they even bring that up, that the prosecution says like he even planned that. He got 2 suitcases to try and be like, no, you can look at my suitcase. It's empty. That he planned that whole thing out. And that's why he bought 2. So I don't know if that's the reason. Oh, and can you imagine being in here in the elevator with him while he had Grace's body, knowing afterwards what happened, and then seeing like pictures of you in there? And here is the
I dialed 111. But I didn't hit the button because I was scared how bad it looked.
Why did you think it looked bad?
Well, there's a dead person in my room. I thought it looked terrible.
Sorry, I'm not muted. I'm trying to get to the right article. He was just able to, she wasn't like a big girl or anything. He was just able to fit her. Like, I would hate to say that I would be able to fit in one, but I mean, and before rigor mortis set in, he was able to put her in one, but he didn't cut her up or anything like that. I mean, I could bring where the person that examined her body, I could play that if you want. I mean, there's so many different things, but he didn't cut her up, and there wasn't any like head wound or anything like that. They literally just said strangulation, and then there was some bruises, I believe, on her arms. That were, they believe, with her being pinned down, and that's what the bruising was from. Oh, of course. Let me do it. I won't unmod you. I'm like, oh no, what's happening? And for some reason, okay, I don't know what's going on with my YouTube. I can't, like, it's just scrolling on my phone. I can't really see it, and I don't know if I can mod you from the computer. I'm trying. Let me see, because I don't think I can do it from the StreamYards. Oh my God, I don't know why I'm having so many problems with StreamYards tonight. Hopefully it works in a minute, Avery. I'm so sorry. I'm curious what the link is that you want to send me, because it's not letting me do it right now. I want to see what you want to say. I'm not just saying that. I want to mod you. I don't know why it's doing that. You found a link that explains the blood. Does it say about a nosebleed? Because that's the only thing that I could find about a nosebleed, but I don't see how that would be that much blood. Let me know if that's what it is. You know if it starts working on my phone. Right now it's okay. Wait, now it is. And let me know if it's about a nosebleed, because that's the only thing that I could see, but I wouldn't see that being that much amount of, like, that amount of blood. Okay, it's saying actions, but it's not letting me do it yet. I don't know why it's being like this. I'm so sorry. I've been having tech issues this whole time. But let me just see what else. Okay, it let me do it now. I think. I hope. We can pray. But all right. I'm going to the sleep doctor thing. I know you can hear him, but you can't see him yet. One moment. Usually it's the other way around. I'm gonna put him on 1.5. We'll see if we want to change it.
This question is, can I analyze the case of Grace Millane? Another question here would be, what is the rough sex defense? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. So first I'll take a look at the background. It's fairly brief in this case. I'll move to the timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis. This case primarily involves two people, Grace Millane and Jesse Kempson. Grace Millane was born on December 2, 1996. She lived in Essex, England. She earned a bachelor's degree in advertising and marketing from the University of Lincoln. Jesse Kempson was 26 years old at the time of the crime. He lived in New Zealand. He was raised there by his father and grandfather after his parents separated when he was 9 years old. His mother had moved to Australia. Kempson was estranged from his family. They had caught him stealing from them, and they told him he needed to receive mental health counseling or move out of the family home. He decided to go to Australia. He lived there with his mother in Sydney from 2013 to 2016. After this, he moved back to New Zealand. On prior occasions, he had been arrested in both Auckland, New Zealand, and Sydney, Australia for disorderly behavior. He also had a DUI conviction in New Zealand. He worked on various occasions as a laborer and bartender. Now moving to the timeline of the crime. In 2018, Grace decided to travel to a number of places in various areas around the world and backpack. On November 20, 2018, she arrived in New Zealand. She had been in South America for 6 weeks before that. She planned on spending 2 weeks in New Zealand. 10 days later, on November 30, she arrived in Auckland. The next day, December 1, she was spotted on Victoria Street at 9 p.m. She was captured again at 9:15 p.m. on video surveillance in an entertainment complex called Sky City. And then the last time she was seen was at the City Life Hotel on Queen Street at 9:41 p.m. At this time, she was with Jesse Kempson. The next day was December 2. This was Grace's 22nd birthday. Her parents had sent her a message for her birthday, but she did not reply. 3 days later, she was reported missing. On December 8, at about 3 p.m., Jesse Kempson was arrested. The police thought he had murdered Grace. That same day, they had located a car that Jesse had rented on December 2 and December 3. On December 9 at 4 p.m., Grace's body was recovered. It was near Scenic Drive, about 12 miles west of Auckland. On December 10, Jesse was charged with murder. 3 days later, the police would find a shovel that they believed was used by Jesse to bury Grace's body. Jesse pleaded not guilty. The trial would begin in November of 2019. It was alleged by the prosecution that Grace met Jesse through a dating app called Tinder. They were both looking for sex that was described as BDSM and rough. After they met, they went a few different places before making their way to the City Life Hotel. Jesse restrained Grace, presumably as part of the BDSM sex, then murdered her by strangulation. Based on the bruises identified in the autopsy, Jesse had choked Grace for at least 4 to 5 minutes. 3 women testified that Jesse met them on Tinder and that he liked choking women as part of sex. After the murder, he took pictures of Grace's body, viewed pornography, and searched the internet for how to dispose of bodies. He bought a large suitcase, cleaning supplies, including gloves, a shovel. He rented a carpet cleaning machine and rented a 2016 Toyota Corolla. With Grace's body still in the hotel room, Jesse went on another date with a woman he met on Tinder. That woman testified about a few things that Jesse told her, which she found to be curious. He was from Australia and just visiting Auckland. He lived in the City Life Hotel. He was friends with a number of police officers. Those officers were struggling because all of the bodies that were buried in the ground around the area, their police dogs could not detect any body in the ground if it was buried more than 4 feet. Again, this is what Jesse was telling this woman. Jesse talked about a criminal case in which a man and a woman were engaging in erotic asphyxiation, and the woman died. The man was sent to prison. He had empathy for the man. He also told the woman that he had spent the day looking for a large duffel bag with wheels. So we see more than a few indications that perhaps Jesse wasn't the ideal date to connect with on Tinder. After this, Jesse returned to the hotel room. He folded Grace's body into the suitcase that he purchased. He loaded that suitcase into the rental car, drove to an area that was remote, and buried the suitcase, still containing Grace's body, in a shallow grave. The defense agreed with many of the points made by the prosecution.
So that goes into where he just he folded her into the suitcase, that he didn't have to do anything like cut her or anything like that. But let me finish. And he's not too bad on 1.5.
Prosecution. For example, Jesse did dispose of Grace's body, but they said that it wasn't murder. It was a consensual sexual misadventure. Jesse was choking Grace and accidentally killed her. They were engaging in erotic asphyxiation consensually. The defense argued that Jesse had no motive. Why would he kill Grace? That didn't make sense under the circumstances. They didn't know each other. There was no long-standing dispute between them. There was no dispute between them, or at least there should not have been in that time frame. They also noted that Grace's blood alcohol concentration was over 2 times the legal limit for driving. They said that contributed to her death. The strategy of the defense is referred to as the rough sex defense. I'll talk more about that later. The defense interviewed people who interacted with Grace. One man who had sex with Grace said that she asked to be choked. Another man said that Grace was more naive than most women interested in BDSM. She was too trusting. A woman who knew Grace testified that Grace said she liked it when a man put his hands around her neck during sex. Here is Jesse's story about what happened. This was also, of course, part of the defense. Grace asked him to be choked. He was taken by surprise. He didn't even know what that was. Erotic asphyxiation is never something that he had ever seen or done. He did it to comply with her request. After sex, he fell asleep in the shower, then went back to bed, but found no one there. He assumed that Grace had left his room. He found her the next day on the floor. She was dead. Blood was coming from her nose. He went to call for help. He typed the numbers into his phone for emergency services, but then he froze. He realized how bad it would look when the police arrived. After he purchased a suitcase, he folded her body into it, and he cried the whole time and occasionally vomited. He was so sorry for what he continued to do over the course of a long period of time. So we can see that his story doesn't really necessarily ring sincere, but this was his narrative. Jesse Kempson was found guilty of murder. Several women had come forward after Grace's death with additional complaints about Jesse. Jesse would be found guilty for those crimes as well, including charges related to assault and threatening. He was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 17 years. Now moving to my analysis. Now, of course, we don't know many of the details from the actual murder of Grace. All we really
He hasn't got to his analysis yet, but I wanted to say thank you so much, Misfit, for the super sticker. And Avery, my phone is not, I don't know what's going on. I'm having so many tech issues right now. It's like literally making me crazy. And I'm gonna make that emoji of the gremlin 100% when I'm done with this, so that whenever I'm having issues, I'm gonna put that gremlin emoji. But I can't click on the link right now because my phone's being weird and also the computer. But let me, oh my God, I always mute it when he's, I mean, not mute it. I always pause it when he's like having the weirdest facial expression. So I'm sorry, Dr. Grande, for that. I apologize. But let me press play.
have is Jesse's account, and there are reasons to believe that is inaccurate. But as I mentioned, several women accused Jesse of other crimes. One of those women was his ex-girlfriend. She said that not only was Jesse physically violent, including threatening her with a knife, but he drained her savings account, taking more than $10,000. She said the aggression started right after the relationship began. They were having an argument, and he slapped her across the face. She had already moved in with him at that point and felt trapped. She tried to work things out with him, but his anger was out of control. She said that she loved him and could not understand why he became so angry with her. She would fight back against his violence, but eventually she lost the will to resist. One night in 2017, Jesse tried to kill her. She left at that point. This was 7 months into the relationship. After leaving, she obtained a protection order. Based on what Jesse's ex-girlfriend and other witnesses said, it would appear as though Jesse was intense, angry, and aggressive. Let's take a look at some of his other characteristics. Jesse appeared to have difficulty telling the truth. A few examples based on his conversations with various women. He claimed to be a cancer survivor. He said that he was going to buy a waterfront restaurant. He was a wealthy business person. Jesse appeared to be socially awkward, like talking on a Tinder date about how police dogs can't find buried bodies. Jesse described himself as arrogant and selfish. Some people believe that Jesse is narcissistic and psychopathic based on the characteristics he displayed. Was Jesse Kempson guilty of the crimes? I think he was. The damage to Grace's body shows that he used more force than necessary during erotic asphyxiation and maintained pressure even after she was unconscious. It could be that he simply strangled her and she never consented to anything. So again, we don't have her side of the story, so it's not clear that this action took place inside a consensual experience. We see that Jesse lied repeatedly about what happened. He disposed of her body. He had a history of violence against women. He went on a date as a murder victim's body was in his room. This is inconsistent with the story he told about feeling remorse. What do I think happened in this case? I think that Grace and Jesse both had an interest in erotic asphyxiation. I don't think Jesse had premeditated the murder, but he probably intended to take things too far. After things got started, Jesse made the decision to kill Grace, and that's what he did. This was a sexual domination homicide, similar to what we see with serial killers. Now moving to the last question, what is the rough sex defense? This criminal defense is sometimes referred to as the 50 Shades of Grey defense, referring of course to the book and movie 50 Shades of Grey, which featured BDSM. The strategy is not new. This defense has been used in many cases over the course of several years, sometimes with success, other times without success. The vast majority of the time this defense is employed, the perpetrator is male, the victim is female, and the cause of death is strangulation. This defense essentially states that the man and the woman were having sex, it was consensual, strangulation was part of it, like erotic asphyxiation. The man either lost control, didn't realize his own strength, or didn't properly manage the force being used, and death resulted. It's often used to reduce a murder charge down to something like manslaughter or to facilitate the defendant being found not guilty. Some people criticize this defensive strategy because, as part of its execution, the victim is blamed. The perpetrator tries to say that there was consent, the woman knew the risks of the behavior. The critics would like the defense banned altogether. All deaths from strangulation would result in a murder charge. The logic behind this position is that a person cannot consent to harm that results in death. If people want to engage in rough sex, both parties have to manage how much harm is caused. If one person takes it too far, then they are guilty. They need to leave out the dying part. The proponents of the defense say a person should only be convicted of what they actually did. If two people are consenting to a dangerous activity, it makes sense that sometimes that danger will be greater than expected. For example, water skiing is dangerous, but most deaths related to it do not result in a murder charge. Skydiving, we see the same thing. What if we look at something like boxing? If someone consents to a boxing match, is their consent not valid? If they die as a result, was a murder committed? If a person does not intend to cause death, then they do not have mens rea, a criminal state of mind. This defensive strategy creates a challenging freedom versus security debate. I can see good points on both sides. I think one of the major problems regarding sex versus other activities like skydiving or boxing is that those activities happen in the open. Sex typically does not. If one boxer kills another, everybody can see that it was just part of the sport. It wasn't like
Would you compare this to boxing and like again? Well, I didn't pause it at too terrible of a spot here. It's not. It's usually way worse. But would you compare it to like boxing if someone died or something like that? And at least that, if someone had to go on trial, it wouldn't be as embarrassing, I don't think, for the family. Uh, I definitely like. Do you get what I'm saying? But I don't know. Would you compare it to boxing or skydiving or something like that? If where they're saying a misadventure. I know they said that with Amy Winehouse's death as well, but I would say that's completely different. I don't know. But let me finish playing it. I just wanted to pause it and say something.
the boxer was trying to cause death. If something happens in the privacy of a sexual encounter, who knows what happened? If one partner is dead, then there's only one side. There's only one person telling the story. And of course, that person is always going to say that it was an accident. I don't have a solution for the legal dilemma, but as far as the safety issue, I think there are some strategies that may increase safety during these intense encounters or when considering who should be a partner for these encounters. These tips are not necessarily specific to the case of Grace Millane. Clearly, Jesse Kempson was fully responsible for that homicide. Grace was a victim in the situation. These are simply general tips that may avoid some of the risks associated as people contemplate this activity. It is a dangerous activity, so it makes sense that precautions should be implemented. Moving to the behaviors that people may want to consider avoiding, a person interested in this activity may want to consider avoiding partners who have narcissistic or psychopathic characteristics, although it is sometimes very difficult to see these characteristics, especially in the short run. Narcissists and psychopaths can be very good about appearing charming when interactions are limited to just a few minutes or a few hours. It's also a good idea to avoid serial killers. This is good advice regardless of the activity being contemplated. Serial killers don't really add value to any situation. They're universally destructive.
I had to pause it there. He said it's a good idea to avoid serial killers. Okay, yeah, I think that's good advice. And thank you, Captain Obvious, right? Don't you think that's good advice, everyone? I think it's a good idea to avoid serial killers. Thank you, Dr. Grande. You've saved my life.
The person may want to consider avoiding partners who they do not know very well, avoid using substances, especially to the degree that it may cause impairment. The person may want to make sure that friends or family know where they are, although obviously that activity can be considered a bit embarrassing for some people, so it's understandable why they wouldn't want to advertise what they were doing to their family members and friends. And finally, it would be a good idea to avoid lethal types of harm. I don't know how else to really put this. Strangulation is dangerous. That's why we don't see the word associated with positive prognostications or sentiment like, I'm looking forward to the strangulation later, or I like this product. Does it come with strangulation? So now moving back to the case of Grace Millane, what lessons can be learned in a case like this? Somebody like Jesse Kempson, whose experience of excitement is enhanced by aggression and or sadism, represents a danger to society. Every excitement-seeking endeavor needs to have a limit. Some people are not good with setting limits. Those are my thoughts.
talking on mute. Let me know if you can see my screen. You should see it in just 1 second. Oh my God, Misfit, I didn't put the sticky note up yet. I have the sticky note, but I didn't put it up there that says to unmute myself. All right, let me know if you can hear it and see it, please.
You'll have to forgive me because I'm not very good at this. The verdict of murder today will be welcomed by every member of the Millane family and friends of Grace. It will not reduce the pain, the suffering that we've had to endure for over the past year. Can't see it. Grace was taken away from us in the most brutal fashion a year ago, and our lives have been, and family have been ripped apart. This will be with us for the rest of our lives. Grace was a beautiful, talented, loving daughter. Grace was our sunshine, and she will be missed forever. She did not deserve to be murdered in such a barbaric way on her early year. We would like to thank several people. Auckland Police Force, been professional, diligent and thorough all through this investigation. A special thank you to Detective Inspector Scott Beard, Detective Senior Sergeant Greg Brand and Detective Tony Jordan. We would like to thank the Crown Prosecution team, Brian, Robin and Lita. They never flinched away from the more intimate details of the case and were compassionate and thoughtful where the family matters arose. The press contingent, you lot, who attended court every day with my wife and I and reported truthfully, respectfully, all events as they unfolded. Last but not least, we would love to thank the people of New Zealand. They've opened their hearts to Grace and her family. I cannot express our gratitude enough for all the offers and gifts of kindness that we have received over the last year. Finally, we must return home and try and pick up the pieces of our lives and day to day without our beloved Grace. Thank you all.
That's so heartbreaking. In almost all of the videos that you see of her parents, they can barely hold it together. Her mom does another video where she says that you've ripped a hole in my heart. And it's just so heartbreaking to watch. Her parents, they loved her so much. And there's in some of these, I don't like comparing cases, but I mean, it's just, you can really see it in this case, how much she really was loved. And that she like loved her family so much too. You can see it in the pictures that she was so close with her brothers and both her parents and her mother. She also did an interview recently, and let me see what she said in the interview. She did a interview just 3 months ago as well. So I have one that was after the verdict and then 3 months ago. But let me see if there was anything else that I wanted to read, because I see more people are popping in. And Clumsy Clairvoyance, yes, I went into your live the other day. I'm sorry that you said that you gave me a shout out and then I left beforehand. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I was excited when I saw that you were live. I will stay longer next time. I'm sorry. I think I popped in before it started, and then I don't know what happened after that. But I popped in, I think, before it actually started. Austin, hello, Austin. You're coming in when we're about to end, Austin. But let me see if I could find something to explain it to you quickly, since you haven't been here. How do I explain what happened to you very quickly? Well, I'll play this for you. I'll play this little CCTV clip, because you don't even know what we're talking about right now. We're talking about Grace Millane. So she was backpacking. She went to Auckland. She ended up going on a Tinder date. Obviously, the date was a date from hell. She ended up never leaving the hotel that she went to, and everything was caught on CCTV footage. And they ended up bringing the guy in the next day. There's all the, and if you want to rewind, it shows the interrogation videos with him. He ended up using the rough sex defense and saying that that's how she died, that it was two consenting adults and she accidentally died. The prosecution was saying that he was like it was malicious intent because of the things that he did after, because he did a lot of he tried to cover it up after by getting a suitcase, getting the bleach, everything like that. And then he was also looking up a lot of weird things on Google, like hottest fire, flesh-eating birds, and where to dispose her body. And he took 7 pictures of her body when after she had died, and like modeled her in different ways, and also went on a Tinder date with another girl and invited her back to the hotel, but luckily she didn't go. So a lot of crazy stuff happened. I'll show you the last CCTV. It's super small for some reason. I don't know why. And then I want to show you this video that Grace did on her Facebook of her painting an elephant, just because she was very into art. So I do love that video, and I think it's good to end it on that video. But here's the CCTV footage. Sorry, you could hear it before I'm showing it. But this is for Austin and whoever else came in. Sorry that it's so small. Here you go. So that was the footage that you saw of them. Everything was caught on CCTV. There's a whole 55 minutes that shows all of the movement of the tracking movements of them. But cops caught all of it on there, of him disposing of the items that she was wearing, like also her phone, her wallet, everything in the different trash bins. It shows him buying a shovel that he buried her in the suitcase that he got, getting the cleaning supplies, the rug thing, the rug doctor. It shows all of that on CCTV. Yeah, it's crazy, everything that it shows, that like every little movement of his was shown. Let me see what else, just because I see that there's some more people in here now that weren't there before. So I'll just play this really quickly. It explains a timeline of events so that people can maybe watch that and understand it a little bit more. All right, one moment. And he was found guilty. So, and it says 17 to life. So he could get out as early as 17 years.
Members of the jury, have you reached the unanimous verdict? That is one on which all 12 of you agree on the charge of murder. We have. Do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty? Guilty.
This jury, having found you guilty of the murder of Grace Emmy Rose Millane, you are convicted.
This will be with us for the rest of our lives. Grace was a beautiful, talented, loving daughter.
Austin, he killed her on her. Okay, let me pause it. Austin, so he killed her on her birthday. She was born December 2nd and she died December 2nd. That's one of the most tragic things also about this case, that she died on her birthday. But yeah, he said he wanted to take her out on drinks and celebrate with her, since it was like going to be her birthday and all of that. All of her family and friends were messaging her happy birthday. Obviously, she didn't respond to anything. Her phone was turned off. But yeah, so it was in 2018, December 2nd, 2018. And clumsy clairvoyance, yes. I love that everyone in the chat is so amazing. I love them all, and they all make me laugh a lot. And I know I make Austin laugh. He laughs at me, not with me, though. I'm just kidding. Maybe. No, he laughs at me. Okay, let me press play.
Finally, we must return home, try and pick up the pieces of our lives, and day to day without our beloved Grace. Thank you.
Are you sure? When he applied pressure to Miss Millane's neck, Mr. consciously ran the risk Miss Millane would die as a result of his actions. In other words, knowing there was a real risk of death, he nevertheless carried on applying pressure to Miss Millane's neck. If yes, Mr. is guilty of murder.
To have killed Grace Millane, the defendant, gentleman over here at the back behind me, had to have had her under his grip, suffocating her, if that's the right term, strangling her is probably the correct term, for a total of 5 to 10 minutes, at some point of which she lost consciousness and would have become under his hand hold, unconscious and limp and lifeless, and he had to carry on. And if that's not reckless murder in this country, ladies and gentlemen, somebody will have to explain to me what is.
Defence case is that this is not a murder. And that's still what I say to you now. Nothing has changed. It was an accidental death that took place in the context of sexual activities that, if done incorrectly by inexperienced and or intoxicated people, can go wrong.
That's the two of them meeting. And the next location is going to be the Mexican Cafe, and that's Ms. Millane and Mr. City Life Hotel at 9:40 p.m. and getting into the lift there. They head up to the 3rd floor. In the early hours of that morning, before the trip out to the Waitakere Ranges to bury Ms. Millane, Mr. has searched pornographic websites. He's taken photos of Ms. Millane's. He's flipped back to watching more pornography. He's confirmed a date with another woman. He's gone shopping for a suitcase and the necessary cleaning products.
I went to the warehouse at the atrium and brought a suitcase. I went back. I left to go and get cleaning products. And then I went downstairs and I grabbed the porter thing. So I messaged a friend and said, I'll meet you at Revelry.
Hi, Killer Facts. It's so good to see you. I know I haven't seen you in a while. Missed you in chat. And again, so us saying when he says he messaged a friend, he went on another date, another Tinder date. That's I thought I paused it at that moment, but I guess I didn't. So he literally went on another Tinder date and he invited that girl back to his hotel. Luckily, she got creeped out by him. She even told him she was parked in another area so that he wouldn't go to where she was parked. But yeah, I just wanted to say that it wasn't a friend he met up with. It was another date that he went on while Grace's body was in his hotel room.
The next day, and drove the car out to Cumu. At first, I had picked up a shovel from ITM at Cumu. I went into the bush. I dug a hole. I went and got the suitcase and I covered the hole.
And what did you use to clean the car?
A water blaster thing from the car cleaning place.
I would like to take this opportunity to appeal to anybody who has seen, spoken to, or come into contact with Grace over the last few days.
Where is her possessions?
I threw them in the rubbish. Albert Park rubbish.
Thank you so much, Misfit. And if you saw right there, it showed him throwing her stuff, her belongings out. I don't know if you saw that in the clip right before, but it showed him throwing in the trash can her different stuff. And again, thank you, Misfit.
At the time, she was wearing a black dress with some white, possibly Converse shoes. Today, we have identified and secured a vehicle of interest. Sadly, the evidence we have gathered to this point of the inquiry has established that this is a homicide.
And you're under arrest for the murder of Grace Millane on or about the 2nd of December. You understand?
Yeah.
Do you intend to cause her death?
No.
Are you ready to take us to where she is?
Yeah.
This area was identified late last night as a location of interest as a result of our investigative work. I can now advise that a short time ago, we located a body which we believe to be Grace.
His face is still blurred out here. You can see he's the one in the blue.
Grace Millane went back with the defendant to his apartment. She died there. A couple of days later, the defendant buried her body on Scenic Drive out in the Waitakeries.
I agree, Jay. I'm happy that we don't have to see his face as well. We shouldn't have to see his face. He shouldn't get that. K-Brace, my grandma told me when I was younger that marriage is like a funeral. Your life is over. You guys always make me laugh. You and Nora's grandma. Nora's grandma, you're hilarious. I always laugh at Nora's grandma. And I need my Ted Russell because I need my raps in here so I can start rapping again. But okay, I think I have 2 more things I want to show. I've already been on here for 2 hours, so I'm going to probably end it soon. But I know a couple people just came in. But let me see what I wanted to show. I think there was another statement with Grace's mom and then just the video of her painting because I thought it'd be cool to end it with her painting. but let me get the video of her mom. And I was going to see like how you guys thought about the defense, but I don't know. Like I said, it's already been 2 hours. Maybe that'll be another one. And I was going to go into also different cases that have used it, but maybe I'll do that another time, possibly. And I can't believe I'm getting done this early at 10. Usually I'm 10 my time, but usually I'm starting at this time. So it's crazy to be ending at this time. But let me, okay. I get sent to 2 folders, so it's hard. I'm going back and forth to folders of stuff that I've sent information to. All right, I have the painting that she did, but let me get the video. I'm just going to type it in YouTube. This is what I did last time. I don't know why it's okay. It's much faster for me to just type it in the YouTube because I know I've memorized all the names of the videos. And you can hear me type now.
With a smile that would light up any room. Confident, kind. Grace was truly beautiful, with a smile that would light up any room. Confident, kind, intelligent, with a desire to travel, to meet new people, see the world. I am absolutely heartbroken that you have taken my daughter's future and robbed me of so many more memories that we were going to create. I received a phone call from my husband David confirming the worst possible news any parent, and one that would change my life forever. My darling Grace, dead, aged only 22. Our family, my family, broken. I was 1 week post-op when our nightmare began. Earlier that year, I had been diagnosed with breast cancer. Grace had been my rock throughout my treatment, and that was our last hurdle as a family. For 8 days, I sat unknowing of the whereabouts of a bright, vibrant, family-orientated Grace. I was in a state of shock and numbness. During these days, I sat helplessly, distressed, and in agonising pain, not knowing where my Grace was. The days passed, and I knew in my heart that Grace was dead. Her tragic life cut short by your willful, cruel actions. You took it upon yourself to murder my beautiful Grace, an innocent young lady. On a daily basis, I torment myself over what you did to my Grace. The terror and pain she must have experienced at your hands. As a mother, I would have done anything to change places with her. I sit full of guilt, knowing I couldn't help her, but I should have been there. She died terrified and alone in a room with you. Your barbaric actions towards my Grace is beyond comprehension. No life sentence you receive today will match the life sentence without my Grace. But I will do my utmost to ensure that no other family needs to go through what we have endured. You have ripped a hole in my heart, one that will never be repaired. You walked into our lives and destroyed Grace in the pursuit of your own sexual gratification. Now my family will never be the same.
Yes, Avery, everything with her family, literally every interview that you search with her family is just so heartbreaking. They truly loved her so much. Like I said, there's just one other thing that I wanted to show that shows her painting because I thought I would end it with something that, because she loved painting and loved art. So I would end it with something that she loved. Showing that she loved. But let me say bye to everyone, but don't leave yet because I want you guys to watch the video of her painting because it's a really cool video. It's only like a minute. But let me say bye to everyone. And Shay, you came right when I was ending it, and I've been having so many tech issues. It's the YouTube's not even working on my phone right now, and I don't know what's going on. It's like not pulling things up, and then it's not showing what I want to show, but you're here and I'm leaving. But yes, it's Murphy. You're right, Austin. Shake my head. But thank you everyone for being here. Again, don't leave yet. But Riddler, Nora's grandmother, Avery, Shay Benet, Jay, K-Breeze, Edward, Lynn. I know Clumsy Clairvoyance was here. Misfit, of course. I think I said Misfit. I'm not sure if I said Misfit, but Misfit, Killer Facts, Cynthia. Oh, Killer Facts. I didn't see the super sticker. Thank you so much. Let me see. I'm scrolling up. I'm scrolling. All right. If I didn't say your name, thank you so much for being here. I hope that you guys have a great night. I think I said Clumsy. Yes. Ellie. Oh, I didn't see you, Ellie. Hello. I don't know if you're still here. I know Wolfie was here earlier. Wolfie, thank you for being here. Princess Megan Elsa was here. Glory Dancer is here. So thank you all for being here. Again, it's so tragic what happened to Grace. I'm hoping that the parents, they are working on that ban of that defense. So hopefully they do get that to go through. I did see like I could put it in chat, like the progress on it, because they're working on doing a new bill to try and make it so there's a ban against that defense. You can look, let me here. And also there's a thing like if people want to there's a whole thing of, and it goes into the different cases that people have used. If you're just coming into it right now, you guys don't know what I'm talking about, but Shay, it's called I'll just say the 50 Shades defense. So that's what the killer used in this one. And I'm not even going to say his name. I'll just say the killer because I don't even want to give him any clout or anything like that. But here, let me play, like I said, the video of her painting the elephant, and then we will call it a night. So just one moment while I get it. I had it, but now, like I said, my computer is just being crazy tonight. I needed you here, Shay. That's why everything went wrong. I'm just kidding. Where is this stupid thing? Sorry. I should be on mute. Misfit, you're probably laughing at me. Or Austin. Misfit and Austin. Don't go yet. I want you guys to see the video of her painting. Okay, I got it now. All right, I'm so sorry that it took so long. Let me know when you can see my screen. Okay, I'm going to start it from the beginning. So this is her Facebook. Let me close my things. This was Grace Millane painting an elephant on her Facebook. You could literally go on her Facebook and you'll see it. So please, can you put a 1 if you can see her painting the elephant? All right. So yeah, thank you everyone so much for being here. And hopefully you understood all, like, hopefully I didn't, like, wasn't super confusing with giving the information, because I know it was like all over the place and the pictures that I was trying to show weren't showing and it was different pictures, but hopefully it made sense. So thank you again. I hope that you guys all have a good night. And again, just ending on this painting that Grace drew.